Hello and welcome back to Chasing Chickens, where we are keeping wellness weird and connecting over how crappy chronic illness is. And I am super excited today to talk to you about getting IVs or blood work or any kind of sticks done and how to make it easier. Because if you have a chronic illness like me and you're constantly getting blood work or infusions or IVs, or anytime you have to get a needle in your body, oh my God, it's horrible and it's messy, and I want to help you make that easier. So today I'm going to share my top tips that have worked for me over the past few years that have made my infusions and blood draws so much easier. Now, when I was younger, I was a champ with my veins. I donated blood regularly, and as long as I didn't watch, blood work was a breeze. I had the best veins ever. Blood work was never an issue for me. Then, after I got sick with colitis, and I think when I was left with a severe sepsis for over a month without being treated and being so sick, my veins just died. So if you listen to how I got sick, you'll know that I got stuck 16 times in the emergency rooms. Four nurses tried 4 times, and then they finally called in the ultrasound team that they had, and they even needed 3 times, 3 tries to get an IV in. They're like, oh, you just need to calm down. I'm like, I don't think I need to calm down. I think you need to get your shit together, because if it took the ultrasound team 3 tries, it's not me, it's you. Like, there's something wrong with my body. And so now I know that when I go to the emergency room, I haven't had to yet because I've been feeling a lot better, but you can ask for an ultrasound team to come in and do the IV and just skip the whole hope the person who's there to help you gets it in. You can actually just demand that the team comes in. I think they said they're there from like 7 to 4 every single day, and they're just absolutely the most wonderful human beings I've ever met. Anyways, after that, I had to get Remicade infusions, which is an immune suppressant, and get that IV every 6 weeks. And my veins just kind of gave up. So every time I had an infusion or I needed blood labs, which I need often, my veins would just blow. They would lose it. They'd have to try again. And now, while I would love to sit here and complain about Quest and how horrible, evil, degrading their employees are, and how they can almost never get my blood drawn, and we won't go there because you know what I'm talking about. My home health nurse says that just over time with my medication, my veins are just getting weaker. It's not something that I'm doing. It's not that I'm dehydrated, no matter what anybody at these blood labs places are telling me. It's just that my body has been so sick for so long. It's just been getting harder and harder. So I had to perfect my system before I get any IVs or labs done. And I've gotten this down so well that I only need 1, maybe 2 tries now. And that's so much better than 16. So I always tell everybody, I'm like, I think my max now is like 10 tries. I don't think I could get to 16 again. But here is my method. Number 1, obviously, we are drinking lots of water. You want to get at least 60 ounces in before. Yes, you can drink coffee. I do. If you drink coffee, whatever. Make sure that you eat food so that way your cortisol is not so high, your body is not so stressed out. And when I was getting my infusions at home, my lovely nurse would text me when she was on her way, so I knew that I had about 30 to 45 minutes to get ready. So the first thing that I would do is I'd get my text and go, okay, I have to work out. So one time I tried just doing a regular arm day with weights, thinking if I get my biceps and my triceps and my chest and my back all pumped up, that would be good enough. But it didn't work for some reason. But it might work for you. So the day I just did arms, I needed like 3 tries to get my IV in. So when I found that I did a leg day, like squats and lunges and all of the wonderful things that we get to do during leg day, or a full body weightlifting session, that worked best for me. Then I would either hop on the bike, go for a quick walk. I also love my mini stepper because it helps me get my heart rate up. Now, obviously, these are on days that I feel really good, not in a lot of pain. I can actually get some movement in. So, if you're in a place where you're way too tired, you're in a lot of pain, on those days, I just try to get some movement in. I'll pick up my 2 pound weights and just do as much I can with my arms. Body weight, like squats. I hold on to the railing on the steps and just do squats or do some lunges, hold on to something so you don't fall down. But the real goal is to get your heart rate and your blood pressure up. So that way there's more blood flowing, your veins are pumped up a little bit more. The next most important thing that I do is I use a supplement called Nitric Balance from Apex Energetics, and that has all the vasodilator nutrition in it, as well as things to support artery and vein health. So I'll post a link here for that. So what I do is I take 5 milliliters before I work out because it's a liquid, and that way it's getting more mitochondrial support and energy, not only to my cells, but also to my whole body. And then I'll do 5 milliliters a few minutes before the stick. So it has ATP in it, which is energy. It has NAC, it has alpha GPC, it has vinpocetine, it has huperzine A. It has all these things that you're probably like, I have no idea what those things are. It doesn't matter because what it does is opening up your blood vessels. So that way it makes it easier. It brings them closer to your skin. So it makes your veins easier to see. And it tastes great. It has a peppermint flavor. And then the other thing I do is I use my essential oil blend and I pull all these oils with fractionated coconut oil and I put them in a little spray bottle and I spray down both of my arms from my elbows to my fingertips. One, because you never know which arm is going to work that day, and you never know what part of your arm is going to work that day. You might have to get an IV in your hand, you might have to get it in your elbow, you might have to get it in some weird place. You know what I'm talking about if you're sick. So, you want to use oils that are vasodilators. So, I like to use marjoram, peppermint, rosemary, Siberian fir, lemongrass, blue tansy, copaiba. I also added in Litsea and manuka, which are kind of rare. Um, but this combination seems to work the best for me. Now, you can use one of them, you can use all of them, you can use whatever you have. Either way, I'll post the recipe and the link to grab those below in the description too. So, what I do recommend is when you make this, label your bottle. I have my little label on it, says vein spray on it. And then the other thing I do is I have the recipe on there and I have it taped over so it doesn't get messed up with the spray. So that way I always remember what the recipe is. So that way you don't have to go, oh my God, what the hell did I put in the stinking bottle? Because I forgot again. Then I have to make something up. So, anyways, using the combination of raising your heart rate, using the vasodilators with nutrition and oils, you should be good to go. Now, the last thing I do is stay as warm as possible. This means, yes, I wear a lot of clothes, I wear hoodies, I wear my super warm socks. And then if my nurse hasn't showed up yet, I've even done this when I had to go to urgent care. I brought my electric blanket with me. So I wrap up in my electric blanket. I use an electric heating pad. I wrap up my arms in it. Obviously, I have a lot of trauma around getting stuck, and I know that my veins suck now, and I will do anything to avoid getting stuck 16 times, especially if you're in a place like Quest or a place where you need your medication. Like, I can't risk going a week without my medication. I'll be so sick. So staying warm is super, super important. So don't sit down. Or if it's warm outside, God, I can't wait for the day because it's pretty cold right now. You can go sit outside, get warm. Now, if I'm in a pinch, like I have to go to my primary to get blood work done, or yesterday I had to go to the hospital infusion center to get my new medication infusion, I still did the same thing. So first, I wore a lot of warm clothes. I had my hoodie, I had my warm socks on, I had my slippies on for the drive. I turned the heat up as high as I could for my long drive over there. I turned on the seat heaters And before I got out of the car, I had my nitric balance with me. I chugged some of that. It's probably a lot more than 5 milliliters, but who cares? I at least got it in. I sprayed both of my arms down, rubbed them up, made sure they were nice and warm, went to the bathroom. Now, this sounds really weird, but I did squats in the bathroom. I kind of ran in place, got my heart rate up. I'm like, oh God, I hope nobody comes in. Luckily, nobody did. But just to get my heart rate up, my blood pressure up, I did my deep breathing. I just really did all the things as much as I could. And then I was just, when I was waiting in my chair, they always give you warm blankets, which is so nice. I'm like, I need 3, please, because I need one for each arm and one for my body to keep myself warm. And they're like, oh, we totally get it. We'll give you as many as you want. And then I just vigorously kept rubbing my hands and my arms to try and just get the work that I had done to stay valid. And what worked? It worked. We got it in one try. And so that was just an amazing testament to all the things that I do to keep my body as healthy as possible and my routine to get my blood vessels up. Now, of course, I couldn't do a leg day and then get in the car and drive for an hour and it would keep my heart rate up. No, that would be crazy. So just do what you can. So even when I'm in my primary, like, and they do blood work there, I'm like, hey, just so you know, I'm going to be in here doing squats and lunges and trying to get warm so you don't have to stick me a million times, and they don't care. So the other warning that you have to tell your people, you have to, if they have to take your temperature, because every time I have to go somewhere, they're taking my temperature. Tell them that you worked out or you sat in a super hot car to get your veins warm. Otherwise, they might say something like, oh, you're so sick, you can't come in here. You're like, I'm not sick. I turned the heat up as high as I could. Or I just worked out the first time I had done this with my nurse, my home health nurse, and I did a super heavy leg day. I got my temperature up to like 99.9 in that moment. And she's like, are you okay? I'm like, yes, I just worked out. Don't worry. And then we checked it like 10 minutes later after I got my IV in and I was sitting down and relaxing. It was right back down to 98.6. So let them know so they don't think that you're an infection or you have something going on. I remember the very height of COVID when it first started. Well, I guess it wasn't when it first started. It was like June 2020, and my daughter wanted her hair cut, and it was like 100 degrees outside for some reason. And they took our temperature outside before we came in, and our temperature was like 103. And my stylist just looked at me. She's like, oh my God, you can't come in here. I'm like, oh my God, I just sat in a car that was 100 degrees. Like, can I come inside and sit down for like 2 minutes? I promise you I'm not sick. I'll keep my mask on. And of course, it was like 98.2 once I got back in the air conditioning. So it's like we live in this time where temperature is really important, especially when you're chronically ill, going into hospitals or places like this. So just warn them that what you've been doing, or like, oh, I had an electric blanket on or something like that. Okay. So love you. Thank you for connecting today. Make sure to follow me on socials, connect there too. Let me know how you're doing, how I can support you. Make sure to grab your vein spray and the nitric balance in the comments. Message me if you have any questions, and we'll see you next time.